Breaking: Trump just shocked the world. He will meet with Kim Jong-un under one condition. President Donald Trump said he would meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un amid heightened tensions over his country's nuclear weapons program if the circumstances were right. If it would be appropriate for me to meet with him, I would I would be honored to do it, Trump said Monday in an Oval Office interview with Bloomberg News. If it's under the right circumstances. But I would do that. The U.S. has no diplomatic relations with North Korea, and as recently as last week, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said at the United Nations that the U.S. would negotiate with Kim's regime only if it made credible steps toward giving up its nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. Most political people would never say that, Trump said of his willingness to meet with the reclusive Kim, but I'm telling you under the right circumstances I would meet with him. We have breaking news. North Korea has become the most urgent national security threat and foreign policy issue facing Trump as his first 100 days in office passed. Kim's regime has continued development of its nuclear and intercontinental ballistic missile program in defiance of international condemnation and sanctions. Military analysts have said North Korea is on course to develop a nuclear-tipped ballistic missile that could reach the U.S. mainland as soon as 2020, during Trump's term in office. Kim has never met with a foreign leader since taking charge after his father's death in 2011 and hasn't left his isolated country. Over more than 2 decades, six-nation talks, direct bilateral negotiations, food aid and UN sanctions have all failed to deter the Kim dynasty's quest for a nuclear arsenal. That has left the Trump administration relying increasingly on China, North Korea's neighbor and top trading partner, to exert pressure on the regime. Tensions have escalated since Trump vowed in January that he wouldn't let North Korea develop a nuclear weapon capable of reaching the U.S., and North Korea has labeled American military moves in the region as acts of intimidation and blackmail. North Korea has continued to test missiles this year after carrying out its 4th and 5th nuclear tests in a decade last year. What do you think about this? Comment below. It's happening. North Korea just started the conflict. This is not good. North Korea threatened Sunday to sink the U.S. nuclear-powered submarine deployed to South Korean waters. The moment the USS Michigan tries to budge even a little, it will be doomed to face the miserable fate of becoming an underwater ghost without being able to come to the surface, North Korea's major propaganda outlet Uri Minzokiri warned. The Michigan, a nuclear-powered, guided missile submarine, arrived Tuesday in the port city of Pusan, the same day North Korea celebrated the 85th anniversary of the founding of the Korean People's Army. A Navy carrier strike group led by the nuclear-powered, Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson is moving to waters off the Korean peninsula, boosting the U.S. strategic military presence in the area. The Vinson is taking part in joint drills with the South Korean Navy, an intentional show of force in response to recent North Korean provocations. The urgent fielding of the nuclear submarine in the waters off the Korean peninsula, timed to coincide with the deployment of the super aircraft carrier strike group, is intended to further intensify military threats toward our republic, the North explained. North Korea warned that whether it's a nuclear aircraft carrier or a nuclear submarine, they will be turned into a mass of scrap metal in front of our invincible military power centered on the self-defense nuclear deterrence. The North has previously threatened to sink the Vinson. Our revolutionary forces are combat-ready to sink a U.S. nuclear-powered aircraft carrier with a single strike, the Rodong Sinmun, the newspaper of the ruling party, wrote last Sunday. North Korea is developing what some observers suspect are anti-ship ballistic missiles, but the North is nowhere close to fielding these weapons in battle, especially considering that the North has yet to successfully test one of these missiles. Breaking: Hannity, Lauren and O'Reilly back with new network, you won't believe where they'll be working. On the heels of major shakeups at the Fox News network, an alternative conservative network is being actively discussed amongst conservative fat cats. A well-placed source close to the proposal tells Mediaite that serious discussions are underway to create an alternative conservative cable network on the belief that the Fox News network is moving too far to the left. The source, who is engaged in the talks, says a meeting is planned for today with two prominent high-powered television executives, some underperforming conservative networks and people who have an interest and the ability to fund a new network. The potential aim? Putting the old band back together. There are certainly plenty of, out of work, conservative powerhouses to pick from that could star on a new network, and perhaps even some executives from within Fox News who might be lured by the new opportunity. Could the new channel include stars like the ousted Bill O'Reilly, who didn't waste much time hitting the podcast waves after he was fired amid a sexual harassment scandal? Could Tomi Lahren, the conservative megastar, who was recently sidelined at the Blaze, also take on a prominent role? The exact who won't be clear until the deal is more defined, but the source says the pitch is that the network could immediately reach at least 85 million homes. This news comes on the heels of a long profile in last weekend's New York Times, which paints a picture of a changing Fox News network with Murdoch's sons, James and Lachlan, CEO and co-chairman of parent company 21st Century Fox, at the helm. The piece struck fear into the minds of some Fox News hardcore conservatives, with talk of the sons wanting to rid the company of the old guard culture on which their father built his empire and bringing a warmer and fuzzier workplace that would move away from an anti-politically correct environment. On Thursday, New York Magazine's Gabe Sherman, a constant thorn in the side of Fox News, reported that sweeping management changes may be coming to the network as well. Sherman's report cited three anonymous sources that contend that the network's co-president Bill Shine recently asked the Murdoch sons to release a statement in support of him amid the roiling lawsuits and scandals. Both Fox News and 21st Century Fox have vigorously denied that Shine made such a request, but the report by Sherman prompted a rather mysterious tweet about the total end of the FNC as we know it by the network's biggest remaining star, Sean Hannity. "I just don't see Fox News and Sean having a long relationship. If Sean becomes available, you have 100% turnover in primetime and a huge opportunity," a television executive, who didn't want to be identified, but is involved in some of the talks, told Mediaite. "I'm working on it, the new conservative channel, hot and heavy," the source said. "It's live, it's real. The new channel could come to fruition within the next 10 to 12 months. The executive said. It is no surprise that a savvy investor would see the turmoil within Fox News as a major opportunity. As the Times piece noted, analysts estimate that Fox News produced 25% of 21st Century Fox's operating income last year, or a whopping $6.6 billion. Conservative news remains a cash cow for investors, but the media landscape is quickly changing, with younger viewers cutting the cord and turning to alternative over-the-top live streaming platforms like Hulu, Amazon, Roku and YouTube TV. Could a conservative alternative channel with some big names have an edge on the 20-year-old conservative network? Stay tuned. Our source is convinced it can happen. Breaking, new conservative news network forming, look which reporters they are reportedly seeking out. It's finally happening. After 4 long years of slowly watching the Fox News network turn more and more to the left, conservatives can finally rejoice and take solace in the fact that the Roger Ailes and crew from the old and great Fox News network we have all looked to for fair and balanced news finally have awoken and are in negotiations to form their own conservative news outlet. One without the influence of founder and current owner pro-Hillary Roger Murdoch, his liberal sons, nor their feminist wives. If you can all recall, right after the 2012 election, within Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney, along with the help of Democrat Party paid media hacks like the morbidly obese CNN correspondent Candy Crawley, choked his way to a stunning defeat even though President Obama was largely unpopular. In the days following that election, it was reported that Fox News superstar Sean Hannity was being bumped to an hour later to a pre-recorded time slot. The change was being made to make room for the closet leftist Megyn Kelly. Kelly started off great but later cut her hair to resemble the little guy from MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, and it all went downhill from there. She showed her true colors by acting like a starstruck teeny bopper meeting her first celebrity crush during her first White House Christmas dinner under then-President Obama, and by attacking then-candidate Trump while hosting the first Republican primary debate. After this, her ratings plummeted and she now has a new show on MSNBC. Mediate reports. A well-placed source close to the proposal tells Mediate that serious discussions are underway to create an alternative conservative cable network on the belief that the Fox News network is moving too far to the left. The source, who is engaged in the talks, says a meeting is planned for today with two prominent high-powered television executives, some underperforming conservative networks and people who have an interest and the ability to fund a new network. The potential aim? Putting the old band back together. There are certainly plenty of, out-of-work, conservative powerhouses to pick from that could star on a new network, and perhaps even some executives from within Fox News who might be lured by the new opportunity. Could the new channel include stars like the ousted Bill O'Reilly, who didn't waste much time hitting the podcast waves after he was fired amid a sexual harassment scandal? Could Tomi Lahren, the conservative megastar, who was recently sidelined at the Blaze, also take on a prominent role? The exact who won't be clear until the deal is more defined, but the source says the pitch is that the network could immediately reach at least 85 million homes. And via Politico. For the 89% of Republican voters who cast ballots for Trump, their backing represented a departure from many of the principles that have animated the American conservative movement for 6 decades. Today, those voters remain broadly supportive of the president personally, and as a result, insiders say, the conservative media have been increasingly pulled by a tractor beam that demands positive coverage of the president regardless of how far he wanders from the ideas they once enforced. Producers and editors have been faced with a choice: provide that coverage or lose your audience. Over the course of the campaign and into the beginning of his presidency, anti-Trump voices slowly receded from Fox's air, while those favorable to him began to appear more often. This has been most evident in the transformation of the panel segment on Bayer's 6 p.m. newscast, Special Report, once the premier venue for conservative thought on television. As the political reality on the right shifted, Bayer made an effort to include more pro-Trump voices on the panel. Trump critic Jonah Goldberg of National Review and Weekly Standard editor Stephen Hayes, once fixtures on the panel, began to appear less frequently. The network also declined to renew the contract of George Will, another panelist, and a reliable Trump critic. Trump-friendly pundits like Washington Times columnist Charles Hurt, American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp and his wife, Mercedes, and Republican strategist Lisa Booth now appear in their stead. In late March, Fox announced it had signed the Federalist's Molly Hemingway, a reliably pro-Trump commentator, as a contributor. Sadly, it seems all this shedding of pro-Trump voices at Fox News came to a fever pitch when Fox News superstar, and most-watched cable news show, of over 20 years, Bill O'Reilly, was fired this past month. He was let go because of unproven allegations of sexual harassment. We know the drill. When a Democrat is accused, he is innocent until proven guilty, but for conservatives, it's guilty until proven innocent, but that the doubt will still linger for life. We know. Whatever happens, one thing's for sure: next book Bill O'Reilly writes will be called Killing Fox News.